Hello, young scholars. This is the period three video, the first review video on the Enlightenment and the political revolutions. This video is dedicated to my grandmother, Sarah Lee Atkins, and my mother, Anne. And happy Mother's Day. These are the two most important women in my life. And celebrate your moms and your grandma. And my sister's there too. All right, moving on. So let's get started. I can hopefully master my technology. All right, so there's four huge overlapping big developments in this period. The political social of the Enlightenment leading to the revolutions and abolition of slavery and end of feminism. The biggest one of all, though, is the Industrial Revolution. And then this will lead to imperialism or increased imperialism and changes in migrations, things like that. So we'll try to cover all these. The first one we're going to do is political social. Obviously, these all overlap, so don't forget that, but trying to break it down, get it done quick. All right, this is kind of a nightmare. This is what we will be covering in this video. You should be able to find this roughly on your period three, three-pager that you should be able to print out. And we will go through this. This video will be a little different, you will see, but overall you should find all these dates on your handout, and I will be talking about them, but not looking at this document with you. You're going to have this in front of you, and I'm going to be talking. All right. So the first one is, this is the time of the Enlightenment, which is in the 1700s, right? But the Enlightenment is like a rebirth of Greco-Roman philosophy and this idea of using the human mind and reason to come up with answers, to question religion, question anyone that's claiming divine right, that kind of stuff. Greco-Roman philosophy was housed in the Abbasid Caliphate in their House of Wisdom back in the day. It gets back to Europe, and the Renaissance should probably be on here, but more importantly, which is 1300 to 1500. And then, 1300 to 1600 is the Renaissance. But more important is the scientific revolution and the discoveries there leading to the Enlightenment with guys like John Locke, Voltaire, and Montesquieu. And these guys will then influence the American, French, Haitian, Latin American revolutions, feminism, and the end of slavery. So it's all one nice, tight little Enlightenment package here, having a bunch of effects. And so it could hopefully help us on the DBQ if we get lucky. Big changes with the Enlightenment. Used to be cool for the king to go, I have God's right to rule. The Enlightenment says, no, that sucks. We don't do that anymore. We believe in the power to the people, popular sovereignty. Ideas of democracy start being talked about, though it does take time. Equality starts being used as a right. It's really powerful, and it leads to increased democracy and rights for groups like slaves and women. Freedom of religion is a big part of this as well. And then freedom of speech and press, things like that. This is here because this just shows this is the divine right of kings. The idea has been popular throughout history, and the Enlightenment challenges this. I just skipped. Look at that, command of tech. Command of tech. I got back to the slide. John Locke, your key Enlightenment philosopher, because he stands for equality, he stands for your natural rights, he stands for that social contract, which basically stands for democratic thinking, that the people have power over their government and should be able to overthrow an unjust government. This guy is the bomb. I might have a John Locke tattoo. Voltaire. Second most important, he stands for things like freedom of religion, separation of church and state, freedom of speech, all this stuff. These guys all overlap and kind of agree with each other more than not, but it's great to throw in some names. We're going to go through the causes and outcomes of these revolutions really quick. So please go to the PowerPoint. It's in the Unit 5 file for all this stuff and read over it in more detail. But quick causes. The Enlightenment's a cause of flipping everything. It's awesome. So the Enlightenment's a cause. John Locke's a cause. The British monarchs raising taxes partially because of the 7 Years' War to pay debts. And the colonists are saying what? They're saying this is jacked up. We have no representation in Parliament. We have no political power. The Enlightenment says we should, and you're raising taxes. So they revolt. And please remember, this is mainly a revolt that benefits the white men. Doesn't benefit the Native Americans. It doesn't benefit the slaves, for a time anyway. It doesn't benefit women. So this is what you call a moderate revolution, especially when you compare it to the Haitian Revolution. Very important, though, is this Declaration of Independence. Hopefully this will come up on the DBQ. It's our independence document, and it's got all of John Locke's ideas in it. And then this document will go on to be used by other revolutions. It'll be used by slaves. It'll be used by women in their revolutions or movements. So if you could, if the DBQ got into this, oh, it could be golden. All right, French Revolution. We didn't really cover it. It's not really in the AP standards, but because it's a DBQ, you never know. You might be able to use it if you know this revolution. They also have the Enlightenment ideas, obviously, and they also are building off our revolution. It's got a chain reaction. And then the king there is trying to raise taxes. He's in debt because he's a crappy king and because he's been fighting wars against Britain. And the bottom 98% in France, they have no political power. And so they're like, the church has power, the nobles have power, the king has power. This is jacked up. So it's kind of similar to our revolution, maybe more extreme, but it's like taxation without representation kind of stuff, no political power. People are pissed. The French Revolution will then lead to the Haitian Revolution. And I'm skipping the outcome of the French Revolution. Go through that PowerPoint, look it up yourself. But anyway, Haitian Revolution, the events, the causes are the Enlightenment again, chain reaction. These documents are traveling oceans on boats and ideas, and people are coming over from France. The French Revolution, people in Haiti are aware they're a French colony. And then also slavery sucks, right? So the slaves naturally want to revolt. The slaves have been revolting since the beginning of time whenever they can. So this is nothing new. It's just what's new is this is a successful slave revolt. Please remember also that this was a sugar plantation. So it's an example of the extreme horrors of the Atlantic slave trade and sugar slavery and all that. And hopefully you remember that and review that. Wrong slide. All right. Haiti has a successful outcome, if you will recall, and it also influences other slave revolts and influences white fear of slave revolts, which also helps end slavery. I will get to abolition of slavery in a little bit. Next come these Latin American revolutions. I'm sorry, these aren't a lot of fun, but we're going to try to make it fun. For all the Latin Americans out there, we're going to try to make this fun for you. Basically, all this comes after Haiti, and here's a map, and I'm not going to use the map. Please remember, when the Spanish and Portuguese come to Latin America, what do? They only bring men. They have relations with the women, creating all these mixed race classes. They're also having relations with the slaves, and so there's the mestizos, the mulatto middle classes, and creates a social structure for Latin America that basically exists all the way to today, more or less, in the sense that you're always going to have the Creoles at the top in Latin America. Once they get independent, in the 1800s, it's these white European people born in the Americas that have power. And they're also going to be the ones that dominate all the Latin American revolutions. They're all going to be Creole led. They don't want to allow a slave revolution or something like that, or a Native American revolution. That would look like Haiti to them and lead to them dying. So all the successful revolutions led by Creoles. Simon Bolivar is an example of one of these Creoles, a major leader of several revolutions in South America, and he's basing it on the Enlightenment to some degree. Again, chain reaction with the Enlightenment. A model revolution is the Mexican Revolution of 1810-1821, when they got independent from Spain. It was started by peasants, but were they successful? No. The Creoles took it over. The Creoles were successful in getting independence, but the peasants and the natives gained little. Go white man. All right, feminism is a pretty cool thing. It starts with the Enlightenment, a woman named Mary Wollstonecraft. There's also a woman on your terms list, Olympe de Gouges. She's in the PowerPoint. She uses the French Enlightenment document, Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, which I failed to talk about earlier. Look it up in the PowerPoint. But anyway, she uses that document to claim, women's rights. And then you have Elizabeth Cady Stanton in good old America, 1848, having the Seneca Falls Conference, and then showing the chain reaction of the Declaration of Independence, using it in her own feminist document. Abolition of slavery, I'm not going to teach this well. It's in the PowerPoint. I highly recommend you go back through it. But there's many factors. And I like to teach this well. But the main one for chain reactions, on the DBQ is these Enlightenment thinkers. The fact there's a chain reaction, and you could talk about that. But also, obviously, there's slavery sucks. Religious groups like Quakers and Protestants, things like that. There's a lot here. Frederick Douglass, though, is a great example of the Enlightenment and the American Declaration of Independence having a chain reaction into the abolition of slavery movement, where, again, he's talking about the Declaration of Independence in his demand for freedom for slaves. Kind of cool. Abolition of slavery is a long process in the 1800s, starting with Britain, and it takes time. And it doesn't end this quick in Africa or the Muslim world. So there. I'm done. There you go. First video.